Much more people than I expected. Welcome to my little talk, Beyond FOMO, Keeping Up to Date in AI. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Carsten. I'm a mathematician, data science consultant, and team lead at Sunword, IT consultancy with special focus on data and analytics. I'm based in Hamburg, and I work in the field of data and analytics since 2018, so for 7 years now, with a focus on forecasting, optimization, in the last 2 years generative AI as well. I try to connect those two worlds a bit, and I have a focus on end-to-end solutions, preferably in the cloud. And if I look back on the last 7 years, like at the very beginning, some of you might work in this field for even longer. What were the topics and tools one worked with? Classic AI, classic data science, so to speak, scikit-learn, deep learning with PyTorch, TensorFlow. There was already the world of natural language processing, Hugging Face, where one could have a little sneak preview on fancy newer models. Different model architectures like XGBoost, CutBoost, LightGBM were the topic. In recent years, still in the stream of classic AI, Polars, DBT, Pandas 2.0, the PyArrow revolution, so to speak. So like this data processing topics coming up. XGBoost, there are a couple of auto machine learning frameworks out there nowadays, but I would say that especially the year 2020 with the release of ChatGPT marked like a time where things have taken off, right? ChatGPT based on the GPT 3.5 model. So there were already GPTs out there, but like the hype started at that point, I'd say. Followed by Gemini, Google, and Claude, Anthropic, Llama opened the development of open source models, followed by different architectures, Alpaca, Mistral, then all the topics one needed to own and to work with, prompt engineering, RAG mechanisms, with RAG mechanisms, vector databases, how to fine-tune LLMs. We also heard a lot of talks on structured output and function calling today. Then lately reasoning, and the mixture of experts, so like so many different concepts come into play. Agent systems, multi-agent systems and different frameworks. DeepSeek was a bit hot topic a couple of weeks ago. At the moment, I would say it's MCP protocol. This is all the block of large language models, and there's also like this block of image generation, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, Midjourney, Flux, you name it, Sora. And then there are the capabilities in the cloud. SageMaker, Bedrock, Vertex AI, the Azure ML platform does not really fit to the time frame here, but I think you know where I want to get. Databricks, NVIDIA, and now we're here and have all these nice and interesting PyData talks every 30 or 45 minutes. And I don't know what about you, but I feel sometimes like this Matthew McConaughey meme. How the heck should I follow? And I want to talk about two phenomenons. And the first thing is FOMO, the fear of missing out. I have a definition here, the entity that an exciting or interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere. This comes originally from social media, but I'd say that this is a topic in professional context too. Especially in AI context, this might be the fear that a competitor is using newer or stronger or better technologies and tools. Someone is more at the forefront. Or personally concerned about my own career relevance. Is it still relevant, the tools I'm working with or what I do? Both are driven by the anxiety about missing key innovations. And I researched a bit, and what research tells us about FOMO, spoiler, just bad things. It is linked to decreased well-being and life satisfaction. It is associated with rumination and a decreased focus. It can create a continuous partial attention state. Think about people having LinkedIn open in a tab all the day and checking it 10 times a day. This is like the same as you would scroll through Instagram, isn't it? It triggers a reward-seeking behavior, or it can trigger reward-seeking behavior patterns. Again, LinkedIn maybe, people posting. But yeah, it can lead to a reduced productivity up until burnout. And one statistics, statistics comes later. Yeah, it can at the end lead to burnout. Then there is another phenomenon. Sorry, I want to talk about is the so-called impostor syndrome, or feeling like a fraud. Why the heck am I standing here in front of 100 participants and giving a talk? Do I have enough experience for that? It is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved. And people who face this have constant fear of being exposed as a fraud despite the evidence of competence. One attributes personal achievement to luck, to timing or external factors rather than personal skills. And one phenomenon is that one discounts positive feedback while fixing on perceived mistakes and shortcomings. I think this is a typical human behavior in general, but like here you have like another stronger ratio of it. And it can result in setting excessively high standards and experiencing intense disappointment when I don't meet these standards. And this leads to setting even higher standards, not meeting them, being disappointed, and so on and so forth. And here's the statistics. 70% of people experience it at some point in their careers. Wow. So almost 2 of 3, more than 2 of 3. The imposter syndrome in tech and AI. Research shows even a higher prevalence in STEM fields, MINT-Fächer for German speaking. Why is this the case? I think one reason is that AI in general requires mastery across multiple domains. We speak about math, programming, domain expertise, knowledge of algorithm, systems, etc., etc. And well, the broader the field, the more knowledge areas there are, right? And what we saw at the very beginning is that there are coming up more and more and more fields and areas and technologies and so on and so forth. Also, the rapid evolution makes expertise, or may make expertise temporary, and the public visibility of work and contributions in an open source environment, which is a good thing, and the community, which is a good thing, that we share our work together, but it might create a comparison culture by accident. And then there's this paradox. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. I mean, you read a paper, 20 references, dive into one reference, 20 new references, and so on and so forth. How to handle that? Okay, so far I just described problems, but let's do one step back and ask, what is AI really for? Why are we interested in it? Why do we want to make use of it, to build something out of it? What actually matters is creating real value, using AI to create value, or technology in general. And my take is that technology creates value if it's embedded in a functioning system that delivers value. If stakeholders and or users trust and accept it. A working system then can always act as a benchmark. I have just random example here of an architecture some data is loaded via AWS Glue to some data warehouse, pre-processed, whatever, and then I have an agent system, and two of these agents make use of Claude LLM, just a random example. But in that moment, I have this and build it. Well, I have a system, a working system, which then can act as a benchmark, and I can now react. Hey, did you hear about cool, nice unit testing capabilities of dbt? Okay, one can think about using dbt and build this in the system. Or DeepSeek is way more efficient, and I tried it out, and it does what the third agent does here. Okay, so one can make use of DeepSeek and exchange one part of the system. But in general, problem solving is often more important than the tool mastery. And an incremental improvement should always be prioritized over revolutionary change. Because the truth is that most businesses don't require cutting-edge solutions. So like, it's not necessary that something which came out yesterday is to be implemented today or tomorrow. Maybe it's okay still to make use of a technology in 2 months, 3 months, and wait a bit until it's adopted somewhere else. You can get a sense of success stories. We get to that later. And I personally had the situation. So I was working in a forecasting project, really large one, for more than 2 years, when the Gen AI hype started. And I was like, oh, okay, I have this never-ending stream of blogs and posts, and I realized, okay, what to do. And no LLM was necessary in that project. So what to do, how to keep the ball rolling. And I finally managed to bring a football reference to one of my slides, which I tried for a couple of years now. How to keep the ball rolling. And I want to share some practical strategies from my experience and also from our team, how we handle it. First thing is that recognizing FOMO and this impostor syndrome is the first step to weaken its impact. So if I recognize, okay, this is a feeling, a thought, I'm not 100% driven by this thought anymore. So to be aware of is the first step. Then, when it comes to knowledge sharing, I assume that most of you work in teams. So my second take is that the team you work in should always be the starting point where one can learn from each other. Cultivating a knowledge sharing culture. We are a team of 6 data scientists, and we try to live this culture. Actually, we have 2 policies for knowledge sharing. We have dedicated sessions, community of practice, whatever. And the first policy is there are no stupid questions, never ever, because, well, this should be our safe space. This is our team. This is not customer facing. Yeah, we work in consultancy, but like internally, there are no stupid questions. Every question is welcome. And the second policy is we always start on a high level and then dive deeper. Because, well, the deeper one gets, the more knowledge is required to follow. And more or less, at some point you will lose someone who is not that into that topic as you are. So this is what we do. We always start on a high level and then dive deeper. And also feedback is welcome in the sense of, hey, wait a second, let's come back 2 steps and let's clarify again concept X, Y, because I'm not able to follow it. Yes, side projects, always a nice idea to dive into something where one can simply try it out. I always would recommend to solve a real world problem, whatever, out of your private life. So like the first rack system I mentioned, I was working in this forecasting project. Was not a customer project, but was like just a rack system I built for myself against my internal documents, so that I can ask a chatbot, hey, whatever, when was the last time I went to the doctor or whatever. Another cool thing is I built a summary and a wrapping and summary of different football results, and it sends me a Slack message every Monday. But I learned a lot on building a system, making use of LLMs and summarization, prompting, stuff like that at that point. Speaking about LLMs, I can highly recommend to make use of what is already out there. Use AI to learn AI. Recently, I had a little chat with Claude, and I revisited the concepts of transformers and multi-head attention. And I tend to forget 50% of the details every time. But yeah, I came back and really dived into that topic simply via a chat. Also, what I can highly recommend is Google Notebook LM. It's quite cool. One can upload different papers or blog posts or some notes and click on create a podcast, and then you get a podcast, and artificial podcast, where two people speak about this topic. Building an individual input stream also is what I always aim for. Making use of different podcasts, newsletters, blogs, whatever. Still, hopefully not too much, because then you end up again in this rat race of too much input and like the impostor syndrome, and you know, okay, this is out there, this is out there, this is out there. Personally, I can recommend two podcasts, two newsletters. The first one is Handelsblatt KI Briefing, German newsletter, and it's more from a business perspective, like what's going on and different topics in the economy, where can AI be adopted, and so on and so forth. And the other one is The Batch from Deep Learning AI, where one has like a more deeper approach, and papers are referenced and repos are referenced, and so on and so forth. And I think like for me this helps to have these two worlds, and you get an input every Friday. And one truth is, occasionally I have to block time for deep dives, because especially in a working field where one is interrupted by Slack messages, meetings, whatever, just in the normal working week, I think it's quite hard to take time and really dive into something really deep. And this is one of my takes. Sometimes that is simply needed to take the time that easy. In general, focus on application and success stories. Success stories not in bold, because success stories also can sometimes trigger the imposter syndrome. I once had a talk where we presented with a client of us a success story, 2 years of work in 40 minutes. Well, but I want to share one cool story from a meetup I visited a couple of weeks ago. These guys presented, okay, this is our business problem. It was like from a logistics sector, and they made use of an agent LLM system to extract information, bring it in the specific structure to semi-automate processes. And they showed like, okay, what we built so far. And then they were super honest with, okay, we are stuck here, and opened in discussion. Can you help us? Can you share experience? And I really liked that, because it was not super nice and shiny, prepared success story. Hey, we are the coolest guys and built this and that. But okay, here do we stand? This is what we achieved. And let's come into a discussion. Who has already had this problem? I really liked this approach. And I already mentioned my chat with Claude. Every now and then come back to the basics. This always helps to understand, okay, where technology or where tool X, Y, Z is docking on, to get a refreshment of some concepts. Final thoughts before we hopefully have a little discussion. Accept that you can't know everything. It is simply not possible, and it's not necessary. Build sustainable learning habits. Accept that growing takes time. One cannot force experience. And in general, focus on value creation instead of tool mastery when working with AI technologies in particular. Connect with others on the same journey. I think this is what you already do. You come here to the PyData conference and enjoy being part of this transformative field. Yeah, sometimes it might feel overwhelming, and it is a lot of input. And after a day of hearing talks 6, 7, 8 times, I'm exhausted. But it's still a cool thing to be here today. And the cool thing of lifelong learning is that it never ends. So my final take is keep cool, carry on. Thanks for listening, and hopefully we have some time for a discussion now here in the audience, later on with a coffee, tomorrow in the evening with a beer. Reach out at LinkedIn. I'm really curious and like to hear your personal journey and your strategies, how to handle this never-ending stream of AI technology. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you very much. Thank you for this great talk. But I'm afraid you have to play a psychologist a bit now, because you have some questions like.
Okay.
As a team lead, how do you encourage your team members to cultivate a knowledge of sharing culture?
Well, as a team lead, I set the rules. And yeah, and I could then give a hint. Okay, well, can I give you some feedback? I don't think that everybody was able to listen to what you just explained in the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or in the last sharing session or whatever. So and I always try to encourage that people give feedback each other. But well, I'm always the person who can do this as well. So making use of feedback, short story.
Then, how do you tackle the struggle of taking time for deep dives in a corporate setting with tight schedules and a busy personal life with family and kids? And a dog, I will add as well.
Yeah, very, very good question. Yeah, sometimes one has to prioritize, right? And to maybe skip something, or to ask the question, okay, what is now worth it to take the time for? And I still need some months to finally answer this question, because I will have my first child being born in August. So I don't know that yet.
Oh, congratulations. Then I really like this one. I could start a whole rant about it. Do you think we should allocate some time doing working hours just for learning? Well, I think yes, but again, coming back to the previous question regarding tight schedules and deadlines and actually, getting work done, what do you think?
Yeah, so we do it, yeah. We have 1 day a month, which is occasionally blocked, and not being in the project, but coming together also in person and to try something out, read something, code together, whatever. Yeah, so I would say dedicated time of your working time should be allocated for learning, of course. This is how you move forward.
Then I also like this one. One problem nowadays is that businesses are searching for people who are experts at cutting-edge technologies. How to deal with FOMO when searching for a job? I'm telling you, this is a psychology session now.
Whatever, making use of humor, maybe. I wrote a blog post.
That's difficult in Germany.
So like, I wrote a blog post on this topic last year, and I started with a quote, and like it was 4 weeks or so after the release of GPT-4o, and on LinkedIn I saw like this quote of searching for someone for a GPT-4o, a developer, requirements 5 years of experience with it. So, it's always unrealistic what is expected. Yeah.
How to explain to stakeholders who want AI that value is not in the technology only?
Again, yeah, I mean, in that case, I always would start with, okay, searching for where I can make use of AI to create value, and to step, not 1 step back, but 2 steps back. Where is really the problem? What do you want to tackle? What is it about? Is it being more efficient in the process, X, Y, Z? Do you want to uplift your revenue, your sales, your whatever, to understand that first, and then come from there, from the problem, and then ask the question, okay, how can I use AI? And this does not necessarily always has to be AI. Sometimes a simple heuristic or a process which is digitalized also helps. Yeah.
Thank you. Then this is also a question I really like because I work in education myself. How do you implement "there are no stupid questions"? I hear this all the time, but rarely being positively practiced. And yeah, I completely agree with it, because especially if it's in a group, some people are still ashamed to ask it out loud. So I get that in a classroom setting a lot. That they might come to you and approach you personally, but then like in front of others, they don't want to, you know, humiliate themselves.
Well, even as a senior and team lead, I can sometimes show that I have no idea of whatever latest update or whatever. So to signalize, okay, it's not just me, it's just not just you, it's also me, it's all of us, as one tool maybe.
Then somebody's asking, do you use techniques like building a second brain for the Zettelkasten-Methode to manage your new knowledge?
Oh, good, very good call. Work in progress. How to collect our knowledge. Yeah. At the moment, we are experimenting internally, also with the chatbot and like a SharePoint solution where we can put blogs, notes, etc., and then like we have a rack system which can interact with that. But yeah, still someone has to start. So like what I see a lot is people have their knowledge in their own notes in Obsidian and Logseq, whatever, but are not really willing to share. And yeah, that would be a first step, simply to share, even if it's not super nice and shiny. So also to share something which is a work in progress.
Okay, one more. I think we have time for one more question. I will change the question a bit, because FOMO is fear of missing out, but I know what the person means, so I will change it a bit. So just in general, I'll use anxiety or fear. Isn't there also anxiety or fear just coming from competitors, or also because AI has potential to automate our work possibly fully in the future?
Yes, of course.
I was just about to say, I think the easy answer is just yes, of course. It's not just FOMO, it's many things.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like, this is now a super big topic, but the best thing I heard so far is a quote, and he or she, I don't know, said that it's not AI who will replace your job, but it's someone who uses AI.
I think that's a wonderful closing quote. Thank you very much, Carsten. I think that deserves a round of applause.